Imagine a time when the very soul of your people, the customs, the prayers that defined you for generations, is suddenly declared illegal. In the 2nd century BCE, a shadow fell over Judah under King Antiochus IV Epiphanes of the Seleucid Empire. He sought to erase Jewish identity, demanding worship of Greek gods and conformity to Greek ways. Jewish traditions were branded rebellious obstacles to a unified kingdom. These were not suggestions. They were brutal commands enforced with cold steel. The Sabbath was forbidden. Sacred Torah scrolls were destroyed. Worst of all, Jerusalem's temple was profaned with an altar to Zeus and unclean sacrifices. For the faithful, it was a wound to their connection with God. Fear settled over every home as soldiers patrolled to enforce the new laws. Yet embers of resistance began to glow, waiting for a spark. This struggle of faith and defiance is recorded in the first book of Maccabees. A storm gathered, and with it the will to resist. The revolt did not begin in a palace or on a battlefield, but in the quiet town of Modian. There lived Mattathias, a priest of the house of Hasmoneans, steeped in tradition. A royal officer erected a pagan altar and ordered a sacrifice. They tried to compel the respected elder to set the example. He refused to betray the covenant of his fathers. As another Jew approached the altar, fury surged within the priest. Mattathias could not stand by. He struck down the man at the altar and the king's officer. In that moment, the rebellion was born. There was no turning back. Mattathias and his 5 sons fled to the hills, calling the zealous to join them. They challenged a superpower, vast, professional, with advanced weaponry and resources. But the rebels fought not for treasure, but for freedom of worship and the soul of a nation. With Mattathias gone, leadership fell to Judas Maccabeus. More than a warrior, a tactician, he turned the hills and valleys of his homeland into weapons. Facing phalanxes in the open would be suicide. So he forged a nimble guerrilla force. Strike fast, disappear faster. They launched surprise attacks and night maneuvers, harassing supply lines. The larger army slowed, demoralized by an unseen foe. Victory bred faith, and faith bred courage. Their ranks swelled into an army of liberation. They fought a relentless series of campaigns against Antiochus's commanders. The book honors their courage, leadership, and conviction under God's law. But the ultimate prize remained: Jerusalem and its defiled temple. Every step toward the city carried the weight of a nation's hope. After strategic victories, Judas marched on the holy city. They fought through the streets and drove out the garrison, though the Acra held on. They reached their true goal: the temple. The holy place lay desolate, gates burned, chambers in ruins. Grief turned swiftly into resolve. Under Judas, purification began. They tore down the altar and built anew with uncut stones. They cleansed the courts and forged holy vessels. A fresh cruse of consecrated oil was brought for the menorah. On the 25th of Kislev, the temple was rededicated with sacrifices and songs of praise. Tradition tells of oil enough for one day that miraculously burned for 8. Thus Hanukkah, 8 nights of light over darkness, faith over oppression, freedom over tyranny. The Maccabean revolt teaches a universal lesson. When pushed to the brink, a people can rise to defend what they hold most dear. They fought for faith, culture, and nation, for survival, not conquest. Their story honors courage and resilience against overwhelming power. It remains a touchstone for understanding the stakes of belief and identity. It asks hard questions. When is it right to resist? What is the cost of freedom? Every Hanukkah, families do more than observe. They remember. The lights link us to the miracle and to hope that shines in darkness. The holiday keeps alive the courage of Mattathias, Judas, and their brothers. The book preserves names, dates, and deeds. Victors praising freedom gained. Ordinary priests and farmers became soldiers and statesmen because conscience demanded it. Their legacy endures: faith, identity, and the long struggle for freedom.